Do you hope those people will get from your book, from your books?
I hope they can see a real kid who has real kid issues that are not perfectly resolved and tied up in a bow by the end. It's a kid who is doing the best that he can with the tools, knowledge, and resources that he has at the time, and also the wonderful support he has, especially from his grandma, because his mum works full time. I hope they can look at the book, read some of the book, and think, oh, this book knows my kid and it knows that my kid matters. That's what I hope.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Soulmates and Suitcases. My name is Lisa Brierley, and next to me is my husband, Scott Brierley. And if you are new to Soulmates and Suitcases, our podcast is a space where we have honest conversations about healing, growth, relationships, resilience, and share those stories that shape us. And you can find all of our conversations and these episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and we're new to a great platform called TrueFans.fm as well. We have a special guest joining us today. Welcome, Bobbi Chegwyn.
Welcome, Bobbi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Lisa, for having me.
You're very welcome. We're excited to have you today. Bobbi Chegwyn is an Australian-born author, now based in Ohio, and is the creator of Radical Ray, children's chapter book series. Through the character of Ray Roxby, a big-hearted, deeply feeling 8-year-old boy growing up in Sydney, Bobbi explores themes like kindness, emotional intelligence, family dynamics, self-worth, which is huge in my book, and grief. So we're excited to dive into this conversation with you, Bobbi. Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself, and we'll dive right in. Go from there.
Absolutely. Well, I guess it all started back in 2007 when I decided to go down the path of human behaviour. I had always had a real, not really a need or a gift or anything like that, but it came naturally to me to talk to others through their own challenges, listen, give them a perspective if they needed one. And I found that after the conversation, both the other participant and myself felt really good. And I thought, I wonder what I can do with this. So I started studying, and I did for a year in Melbourne in 2007, and it went on from there. Initially, I was coaching women in transition because I myself was going through a divorce and a relocation at the time. And I thought, well, that's my audience. That's who I can speak authentically to. So I did that for a number of years. And then we came over to Ohio for my husband's work. And I kind of did a 180 after that. He had said, look, you can just do anything you want, whether it's volunteering, working, do what makes you happy. And there was a flyer in my mailbox that said bus drivers needed. And I thought, I've seen them on TV and in movies my whole life, those big yellow buses with the lights flashing, and they're not something we have, those types of school buses in Australia. And I thought, how much fun would that be? And as per usual, I get excited and commit, and then I don't think what that actually means. So I was a bit shocked with the amount of training, and then remembering, hey, Bobbi, in Australia, you drove on the other side of the road, on the other side of the vehicle, and now you're jumping into one that is 30 feet long and you're going to be carrying 40 kids. But it's kind of good that I don't think about it, because I commit and then I'm forced to work through something that I'm interested in rather than letting fear get in the way. So I ended up doing that for 2 years, and I got the most precious gift of driving the elementary route in my own neighborhood. So I got to know the kids and the parents so well, and I'd see them around. And after that, I did have to stop that because I needed to spend considerable time back in Australia when my dad was dying. So I left that. And then after that period, I was kind of lost. So I came back to Ohio, thought I'm going to go to a women's retreat in Oregon. It's a one-on-one weeks retreat. And these two coaches were amazing. They did a deep dive into where I am at the moment. And it turned out that it was my 9-year-old self that was really calling out for help. And I was able to glean a lot of information about myself from that experience, came back and thought, I've always healed through writing and also helping others going through the same situation. And I thought, I'm going to write for kids because that's who I'm targeting myself with my own inner child. And I thought, I really know a great setting. I know a character. I know where I can bring this all to life. And that started Radical Ray. So that's coming up now to nearly 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Do you have books with you there just so we can get an idea and sort of what, as well, what age bracket are they for?
Sure, sure. So we do have 4 books. The first, and they do say proof copy, but that's what I've got at the moment. The second, the third, and the fourth. Now, the first book is from age 7 onwards. The second, third, and fourth are probably from about 9 onwards, especially the fourth book. I would say 10 to 13-year-olds because it does deal with grief. Ray's mother suddenly passes away, and it's quite real and not really for the younger kids, but I feel really good for that age group, 10 plus.
Hmm. And so where did you were the bus driver, so you saw, you observed a lot. What other sort of experiences or note taking or understanding did you have of the stories you wanted to include in your books and sort of that authoring experience at the same time and how to put it all together?
Yeah. So I have always had a passion for teaching, not in the regular sense of standing up in front of a bunch of children in a classroom. But for instance, when I drove the school bus, I went to my supervisor and I said, I will be so bored just sitting behind a wheel and driving. I need to do something more. Would you mind if I called this bus the kind bus and we made it like a rolling almost personal development classroom? And she said, just go for it. It's fine. So I realized that kindness is a value that kids this age will understand. And then we could lead or link everything that we wanted to happen on the bus back to kindness. Things like respect your driver, speak nicely to each other, care for the person sitting next to you, pick up your trash. It all leaded back to being kind. And we would have Kind Writer of the Week awards. We would do donation drives for people less fortunate in our community. And so it led from there. And that was one facet of the information that I had when I started writing the books. The second one was by that time around 15 years working in human behavior. And I don't know about you guys, but there are certain things that really stand out, certain sayings or quotes or maybe NLP practices and all that sort of stuff that you just have in your mind constantly. And I was listening to Bashar and talk about Christ consciousness. And I thought, oh, I just love that idea that that Jesus was perhaps not saying follow me, but more like be like me. And then it's funny because I'm really into God winks. Then I read somewhere that Christ consciousness is also called radical love. And I thought that's what kids can understand, that term radical love. And So then I thought, well, alliteration is great, love it. What if we had a child whose name started with R and he became the instigator of radical love in his community? And my dad, who had just passed away, his name was Ray. And so that's how we created Radical Ray.
I love it. It's
That's awesome.
so
You know
awesome.
who, as you were talking about what you were doing in your school bus, I pictured Lisa, if she was driving a school bus, that would be the same way she would approach it, because I watched her in the classroom. Lisa's a elementary school teacher, so that was kind of cool.
Then you get
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you
Yeah.
absolutely get it.
Yeah, my dad was actually my school bus driver, and so
Okay.
and I think I would say his key word on the bus was respect,
Yes.
just like kindness in many ways. And wow, I absolutely love that. I would want to be on your bus.
It was really, really fun. And I miss it a lot. I still see these kids in my neighborhood, but now, oh gosh, they're going into high school and ninth grade, no, high school and eighth grade next year. And I get emotional because I see these kids growing and they'll still say hello. But what's really nice about it is they're now moving into this mid-teenage period, but they're still as lovely as they were.
Hmm. Well, everything you learn in kindergarten, and I think that's kind of maybe what you created on that bus, that level of care and respect and the self-love and everything that comes through there. So absolutely incredible, incredible that you first of all asked and that your supervisor, your boss said yes, for sure, and believed in you. And so it took how long for you to kind of write these books and get out what you really wanted? And you said those were proof copies. Is you redoing some of your books as well, or?
Just redoing the covers. I wasn't quite happy with how the covers were. I wanted something more that felt more warm. And so in the books, there's a very wise grandma. So Ray doesn't have that nuclear family. He's an only child who lives with his mum, Shirl, and his grandma, Leela. And his parents were never married, but his dad did leave when Ray was a toddler. So a lot of the book is set either in the classroom or at home, and home is a very warm, safe space, and where Grandma Leela teaches him from her own experience about radical love. Getting back to the book covers, they all do have a different color gingham, and for me that, and then Ray's backpack, and it has a theme of the book coming out of his backpack in each cover. But the gingham for me really represents that tablecloth where grandma's baking and offering advice, that homely kind of feel.
Very good. I love it. I absolutely love them. Are you planning on writing more?
There's one more that I have in me
Nice.
for Ray. My concern is that in the fourth book, Ray is just about to turn 11. And so the fifth book will be the second, well, when he's turned 11 for the remainder of the school year in Australia. As I said to you earlier, authenticity is a big deal for me, and I'm not sure I can really connect with a child older, especially a boy older. Um, I'm really not sure how authentic it would be. I'm not sure it would spill out of me from the experiences I had on the bus. So I think I'd love to finish it up with five, and then the work around it is my idea of the most perfect lifestyle is visiting schools all across the US. I have been to over 30 states now, and my bucket list is before we move back home in a number of years to get to all the states. And I have the means and availability just to hop in my car and drive to anyone's school, which I just think would be just such an experience.
Perfect.
So I have a question. You worded that how is it? We're taking like the creativity and the security, and I talk about it in Thailand a lot, babe. When I talk about the kids there that are allowed to do the wild stuff that we used to do, like when I was a kid.
Just more freedom to do things.
Yeah, well, the freedom. Us henpecking the kids down to where, like in Canada, the kids have to be in a car seat in the car till like they're, I think, 90 pounds or 80 pounds. And it's like, I think of that squashing the kids down to that level, they get no journey in life and they get no experience at how to live on the edge, where some of us need that. And like, I can just imagine me. I was undiagnosed ADHD till actually a couple of years ago, and I was a handful. I could imagine strapping me into a chair till I was 90 pounds. My parents would have had nothing but a fight, and I wouldn't have learned anything growing. And yes, I got into a lot of accidents when I was a kid, but that's part of ADHD, I believe. And I don't know. I just think we're taking their freedom and their confidence. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, we're ripping their confidence away because we're pounding them down to go, you need to be like this. And do you kind of agree with that?
I absolutely agree. And it's funny because throughout writing these books, I've had Ray since he was 8, taking his blue heeler dog out around the streets of Botany, going to the park, talking to neighbors, talking to shopkeepers. And it has crossed my mind, oh, would that really be happening in Sydney? I don't know, but it's going to happen for Ray. It doesn't matter because Ray is out there, and he's the streets where he lives to the main road are really just at a 90-degree angle. So it's not far, and the park that he goes to is just up the road, but he's out and about and he's talking to people. And I think that's where Ray comes across as a little bit of a rambunctious child with that confidence, and probably how you were when you were younger, just getting out there and embracing the world. And I really like that aspect. I lived like that when I was a kid. Of course, now you have to be careful and you have to let people know where you're going and what time you'll be back and that sort of thing, and stick to safe areas. But I do think a lot has been lost in the amount of freedom that children have and the amount of opportunity and scope they have to grow.
Exactly.
Like, we have friends that own a coffee shop in Thailand, and I won't mention any names, but we were going up to the surf shop where they were, and the one son, I believe he was 6 at the time. We watch him run across in front of us with his surfboard in his hand, completely by himself, and he's going out to surf. And now, I think he's about 10 now, and he has so much confidence in himself. It's almost, I'm going to almost say it's borderline arrogance, but it's not, if that makes sense, because he's just, but that's in our world, we would say it was arrogance, but it's not. He's just completely confident. And we've been there, and his little brother's out riding an electric motorcycle with no helmet on, in shorts, in flip-flops. And I mean, that's the way they live. And I'm sure there's other, like the brother with the surfboard, it's hard not putting a name to it. But I'm sure he grew up the same way.
Right.
And it is. It's just nice to see that confidence in somebody so young.
Definitely. And don't get me wrong, it's not all confidence across the board for Ray, especially book 3, where he has a couple of words said to him in class by the teacher. And that starts this spiral of, am I not who I thought I was? Should I shrink myself to fit? And he goes on this journey with his own belief cycle. He does come back to who he is, but I guess the blessing in disguise with this book is, and what he's gone through, is that he now understands his mind's own GPS and how his beliefs can take him to thoughts, to emotions, to actions, and then outcomes. So he has more of an understanding of, okay, so what I'm thinking is like putting the address into a GPS. It'll take me to where I've told it to go. So be more conscious of what I'm thinking.
I love that you stretch that whole idea that Bobby is, venturing out, going walks with his dogs and that sort of thing. Will kids also experience the things that they see all the time? The phones, the social media. Like, is that also in your book?
It is not, and it is not for a reason, because I want this boy to, he starts out as 8, which I personally believe is way too young. So
Yeah.
8, 9, and 10. He does have the use of his mum's mobile phone when he needs it, to text and call, especially in the second book where his father makes a re-entry back into his life and is wanting to meet up with him. He does use his mother's phone for connection, but no social media. That is, I mean, it's interesting because in Australia, they've just done a total ban on social media for under 16s anyway. And if you are found to have an account, apparently Instagram and Facebook, their algorithms are determining if someone is underage by the type of content they're searching and posting. So then they get fined millions of dollars if they are found to be in breach of that. And that started, gosh, I think it was maybe at the beginning of 2026. So it's not a thing anymore. It was, but no, it's no longer a thing for under 16-year-olds. So it doesn't really apply to Ray.
Makes sense. You've gone out now into schools.
I am trying to get into schools. It's quite interesting. I have reached out to the public schools in my area and the faith-based schools in my area through different means, emails, letters, that sort of thing. And I'm wondering what is it about myself and where I am right now, where I'm not getting the feedback and responses. Where am I sitting with all of that? What am I doing to prevent that happening? So I am looking at that, looking at my own beliefs around that. I do feel still really great in the position that I'm in. I feel like I'm producing good content on the website. I've got 3 different blog sections that I absolutely love writing. One is for parents raising young kids. One is called the SEL Shelf, all about social emotional learning. And the other one is called Ready, Ray, Go. And it's a weekly 20-minute social emotional learning activity lesson plan where it's no prep and it's all based on themes from the book. And teachers can just run with it. And there's going to be one every week for the next year's school year. So there'll be 42 in the end, but definitely minimum for the school year. So I think as long as I keep feeling good about what I'm doing, that is the answer. Because last September, I actually had enough of Radical Ray. I left it for 6 months and I was so frustrated. And then I realized I had been a slave to the system. I had paid thousands for courses on this is what you're supposed to do to market your book, and this is what you need to do in relation to covers and all this sort of thing. And these 4 or 5 pillars you're supposed to have in your social media content. And this is when you need to post this, and this is when you need to post that. And I was so burnt out. I just thought, I need to step away from whatever matrix that is, because it's ridiculous. I'm a slave to something that is telling me I need to do that when it is so misaligned with doing something that comes from the heart space, that gives you those tingles, that kind of like what I'm doing now with the whole, I love the blog, I love the books, I love the new covers. This is why it's not lip service when I say, well, I haven't heard from any schools yet. It's because I'm doing things in a way that stems from my own heart space, and that's what makes me happy. And I think the rest will follow. I'm not sure when, But I trust at some point something will happen where someone says, we'd love you to come and visit.
Yeah, I believe it will. It definitely will. And even my voice is doing some weird things. Anyway, it definitely will happen for you. That word yet, and you said the word yet. It hasn't happened yet.
Here's a quick pause in the conversation to invite you to join our Facebook community, Soulmates and Suitcases podcast. Tell your story, amplify your voice, where we share upcoming guests, new episodes, and conversations from the podcast. And you can catch all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now back to the show.
Yet, because I think sometimes when even the opportunity like speaking today and sharing your story in your books today, like thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people may hear this, and you never know who it's going to align with, and that opportunity opens. Like for me, when you told me the story of how you created the kind bus, I'll call it that, the kind bus, like that in a nutshell pretty much tells me who you are. And so
Right.
depending on what people are looking for at the time, you have to match that person at the right time, at just the right space, and I think it will come. And I think schools are changing as well, whether it's budgets, whether it's the pressure of, do we really want schools to operate this way? And I think there's a lot going on. And I personally have seen many teachers who are really struggling with just so much the stress of the system. And so maybe there's something bigger and better yet, a place for
I so agree with you. And if I can just share a little story about the reason why I trust it is because I know it's already working in my favor. Back in March, when there was an opportunity, someone emailed me and they wanted to present my books. They had a book club of a few thousand people. And it was like, okay. And this woman was emailing me back and forth and wanting all this stuff, which was fine. But I kept emailing back and saying, I need the specifics. If you want this type of graphic and mine aren't, you're saying mine are the wrong size graphics. Can I please have the dimensions in pixels? And I never got a straight answer back. And I thought, and I was she wanted video reels and I was making them for her. And because of their promotion, again, fine if it worked for both of us, if it was a win-win. And that went on for about 4 weeks. And I found myself again getting really resentful about the process. It's like I feel like I'm being a slave to someone else again. And this time it was a person from Missouri rather than, social media and courses and things. And I thought, I can either stop this now or I can repeat the same lesson again that led me to quit this whole thing, or just to put it to one side 6 months ago. So I sat down on my couch here and I just spoke out loud to the universe, as one does, possibly, hopefully. And I said, look, I'm really willing to go back to Radical Ray because I love that kid, but I'm going to do it not just on my terms, but I said I need it to be a win-win for both of us. I need it to have a give and receive aspect. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. So I just want to let you know that's how it's going to be. Now, I never heard from that woman again, which was absolutely fine. But what happened now is that I have about 6 podcasts lined up, and that all came bang, 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 bang. And I'm seeing that the results of that change in what I'm standing up for and what I'm saying I need. And it's not a selfish perspective because it's good for me. It's ecological in the fact that it's good for everyone. But I'm also saying, hey, I deserve something out of this exchange as well. And now it's happening. So this is why, I'm not, it's not just flippant when I'm saying, oh, it'll happen. I don't have to do anything. I can see it happening. So I'm excited without knowing what it's going to be.
Yeah, And that is exciting, exactly. And I believe the type of book that you're writing, it's totally supporting what is happening in I think in many parts of the world, the raising of the collective consciousness, that sort of concept, and understanding that, you know, I truly believe this, that when we do focus or support our kids and ourselves, of course, because that's when we can really support our kids, is when we actually work on ourselves. But your type of book is doing that. And I think because you're aligned with what you are writing, I think it will find the right place and the right opportunity.
I trust that, and I hope it does. Those kids that I saw on the bus, they are smart. And what I loved about the age group that I'm writing for, which was the age group on my bus, they weren't too young to not understand concepts. They weren't too old where I'm too cool for this. So it's that perfect age, and they're little sponges whose literally their eyes would like widen when it wasn't like, okay, today we're going to have a lesson, but things told in almost story forms, or letting them know, oh, when I was little, this happened to me, because we used to have a lot of time to wait in the morning. They don't just, the buses just didn't come up and it would be like, okay, bye kids, have a nice day. We all had to line up, and then they released them all together. I'm not sure if this is a thing across the US, but for safety reasons, all buses park with their doors shut. And sometimes we were there for 20 minutes. So we'd have kids I had a megaphone. Kids would want to use the megaphone, that's a big deal, and tell their joke of the day. So we had to come up with different things to keep ourselves amused. And one of them was stories from my childhood, or helping them understand something. But they are smart. I love that age group, and I find them so easy to talk to. I don't know what that says about me as an adult, but they're my people. They are my people.
Well, it's probably connecting to that inner child of you, of whatever it was that you needed or wanted from that age.
Yes, and just such a fun time of life when, you know, these days, if I see a swing in a park or a playground, I am right there, and I swing really high. And we went out to Vegas for my 50th birthday. My daughter came with us. She was living here at the time. And we were driving back from the Grand Canyon, and we stopped at this park. And I remember there were all these goats around, and I just ran off our coach when he stopped to let people use the restroom, and I bolted for the swings, and I'm swinging so high, and Lucy is recording, and she's saying, Mom, you're 50 and you're doing this. And it's like, I'm 50, and why wouldn't I do this? I'll do it till I'm immobile.
Exactly. Scott, were you wanting to say something there? Okay. I thought you were unmuting. I think that's one thing I've just started to realize in the last few years is many adults have not taken the time to play, to just have fun. And, you know, we work all like weeks, days, months, whatever, and we plan to take a week off to have fun on a vacation so we can act like a kid. Like, so taking those opportunities, like swinging on the swing.
Absolutely.
I'm one of those people that didn't have fun for years. I focused on work, like I'm a blue collar worker, worked construction most of my life, 6-7 days a week. And going to Thailand, where we live now, in April, they have this, it's the Thai New Year's, and they have this day, or actually it's a week, but it's called Songkran. And the whole country has a water fight.
Oh, wow.
And it has helped me become a kid again and play. Like, I'm looking forward to next year already. And it's like, it kind of dawned on me when I said that to somebody the other day. It's like, why do I have to wait till next year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One thing I find odd about here, and it's only in this little neighborhood. So we've got nearly 1,200 homes. So it's a really big neighborhood, and they have 3 pools. One's a leisure pool. It's supposed to be adults only, but they couldn't term it that. So it's leisure pool, then a family pool, and then a little baby and toddler pool. In the leisure pool, you're not allowed to splash. And so the adults pool, you're not supposed to splash around. And I am dead set the only adult who goes underwater, does a handstand, does a forward roll. I don't know. I mean, coming from Sydney where we jump in the surf, we dive under the waves, where has the fun gone from actually being in the water and getting your hair wet? I mean, never mind the blowout. It doesn't matter. But there's a lot of standing around looking beautiful. And I just have a red face, my wet hair plastered, just probably looking quite ridiculous. But it is so much fun, especially with water. I mean, being underneath it is so much more fun than being standing on top of it or just dangling your legs in.
Yeah. Scott would agree. He's a scuba diver.
Love it.
Yeah. Maybe that's the angle. The fun, Bobbi, and then your books are an extra.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny with the pool, the only person who will play with me in the pool with doing handstand competitions and things is the most amazing young man called Tucker. I believe he's probably 19 this year. He's on the autism spectrum, and he and I, so he's now an adult, so we are the only two adults in that adult pool, and so we're friends, we're mates. So when I see Tucker each summer, he knows that I'm up for a handstand competition in the pool.
Perfect. That's so perfect. I love it. I love it. And so, what was I just thinking? When you kind of envision yourself or envision the purchaser of your books, what do you hope those people will get from your book, from your books?
I hope they can see a real kid who has real kid issues that are not perfectly resolved and tied up in a bow by the end. It's a kid who is doing the best that he can with the tools, knowledge, and resources that he has at the time, and also the wonderful support he has, especially from his grandma, because his mum works full time. I hope they can look at the book, read some of the book, and think, oh, this book knows my kid and it knows that my kid matters. That's what I hope.
And have you heard some feedback from people who have read your book? What sort of feedback have you?
Good. Especially my three favorite, which I've put on my website, have been one from a therapist who's been a therapist for over 30 years. She really loved, she's specifically focused on the first and the last because I asked her to, can you please have a read and tell me your thoughts on this? And one, she absolutely is loving just for opening conversations about kindness, compassion, resilience, and courage. And then she read the book 4, which is heavily revolves around grief and is really supporting that as a tool to help children who have experienced the loss of a parent. So that's been great. I've had a lady from Japan who's a Canadian who lives in Japan and who has she's been an educator. She's has her master's in education. She's now a coach for parents with boys because apparently it's really an unusual angle to have a boy as the main character in this book about feelings and growth. So she really loved that, gave me a great endorsement. And then another lady wrote to me and said, My 10-year-old grandson, I bought the book for him and he said it's the best book he's ever read, and he's making up a Radical Ray quiz on his computer because children are so technical these days. Apparently he was creating a quiz. I do not know how, and I do not know on what platform, but maybe they were learning how to do that in school on their laptops or something. But they're my three favorite because I've got one from the horse's mouth, which is the child, so to speak, who I'm speaking to. And then from two professionals, that's been a really big deal for me. I've also got a reader's favorite 5-star award for books 1, 2, and 4. And I haven't entered book 3 because I just haven't. I will, and hopefully it'll go down the same path. So being reviewed by an adult in that industry has been, and for it to come out favorable, I was in a little bit of shock, to tell you the truth.
Sometimes you just never know, right?
Final pause. If you've got a message on your heart and want to be our guest, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Visit forwardwalkingchoices.com, scroll to the Soulmates and Suitcases podcast section, and click apply here. Now back to the show.
Right? You never know when these things come along, right? And so where are you selling your book right now? Where can people find your book?
The easiest way is just to go straight to Amazon and look for the Radical Ray series, and all books are there in paperback and Kindle.
And are they a hardcover book?
Not as yet. And this is the reason why I put that aside for one moment whilst I'm creating everything else, is that I did try one, and the quality I did not like. When it came from Amazon, I sent it back because it wasn't good quality, and I thought, well, I don't want people ordering this if it's going to come looking like this. So I will revisit that again. But at the moment, paperback and Kindle.
And can people buy it as a series, 4 altogether?
Absolutely, yeah. All on Facebook, all on Amazon, I should say.
Very good, excellent. And so, you yourself, you have a family in regards to, you have kids, you have.
I do.
So, what do they think?
So my girls are growing up and in Sydney. One of them did move over here with us, but after high school, she went back and she's now a flight attendant for Qantas, and which was her dream job to do. And my other one is just completing her master's in psychology to become a clinical psychologist. So I love talking to her about certain aspects of what I'm doing and what she's learning as well. And then Frank, my husband, has 3 kids. It's a blended family, and they're all in Australia as well. So we've got 5 kids and 1 grandbaby in Australia, which is challenging. Thank God for social media and video messengers and things like that. And thank God for Qantas staff travel, because now I can go back more and more on a cheaper ticket.
Yes, that's key. That's key. I totally hear you about the video calling family, because we have family all over the world, and it's been a savior. I know, traveling back to Canada, you see your parents once a year or once every 2 years, and it's hard to say goodbye. It's much easier on video when you have video now.
Sure.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Yes, exactly. And so where can our audience find you? I know you said your books are on Amazon, but how can they get a hold of you?
The best way is via the website, which is meetradicalray.com.
Perfect. And I'm excited for you to get out there, especially to schools, but to wherever else. Your books will definitely be, I think they will be, what's that word? Received really well, because I think the topics are extremely important, and I like the way you presented them with a young gentleman, a young boy, because you're right. You don't see that very often with hearing stories about that. So all the best to you, and congratulations on your books, Scott.
And I love the fact that you're doing attraction rather than promotion.
And it's so easy to, when you come from a place of your own authenticity, it's so and when you're passionate about it, it's so easy to talk about it. I mean, it's not, you don't have to study up on yourself or what's right or what's wrong about what you're going to say. It just flows, and that's where we all need to aim for, whatever our passion is.
Yeah. And I think what you just said there, it's what you love and find easy to talk about. And I think that's a key message as well. So I appreciate that message. So thank you very much, Bobbi. We appreciate your time and your wisdom and sharing your stories today. And maybe someday I'll see you on that bus. I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. I'm going to share this video with my dad because he'll love this video, that too. Yeah. So we'd like to thank you again, Bobbi, for joining us. And if our listeners or our watchers are enjoying this show today, please leave a review and share this episode. You never know who we might reach today. And as well, if you're interested in learning more about Scott and I or seeing our books, you can find us at forwardwalkingchoices.com. Thanks very much again, Bobbi. I'll say thank you from Thailand. So I say Kapun Ka, which means thank you. And Scott.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
Have a great day,
eh? From Canada.
From Canada.
All right.
It's been an amazing conversation. And
thank you. Awesome.
Thanks so much. Okay. Speak to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Looking for more inspiration around healing, love, growth, and possibility? You can explore our books at payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley Authors. And if today's episode meant something to you, we'd love for you to follow the podcast, share it with someone you care about, or join our Soulmates and Suitcases community online. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.